Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of ZyaelTalks Mental Health at Workplace series. Do you know 1 in 5 employees struggles with mental health challenges at workplace but still hesitate to discuss due to stigma? In fact, Deloitte India report found that 47% of employees at workplace still feel uncomfortable to discuss mental health at workplace. Today, we deep dive into this conversation like how to overcome stigma at workplace. So, we explore why stigma exists, how it affects individual organization, and importantly, what we can do to change it. I am joined today by Dr. Rajni Joyce. Ma'am, please, it's over to you. Please,
Yeah,
can talk about it.
yeah. I'm Ranjini, working for almost 28 plus years in the line of mental health. Initially, when I looked into the mental health aspect as an entity, I was feeling that it is more westernized. And so I took a lot of time to research and work on the Indian style of mental health and resolving the problems through Indian methods. So I think after that, a lot of people also have Indianized it, but then Indianizing it was very important. And two is that my wish is to take mental health to the global levels where our kind of message, wherein we do not just give suggestions but give solutions to the people when they come here, uh, forgoing their taboo and stigma, and come to us with uh, that kind of confidence and trust, asking for support. We definitely have to support them completely.
Got it.
Yeah.
So much, ma'am. First of
Thank you,
all, thank
dear.
you so much
Thank you.
for accepting our invitation and coming over here. And thank you so much. Ma'am, I would like to ask you very root cause, okay, for the mental health.
Hmm.
Why the stigma? Why
Okay.
the stigma, especially in working environment?
Working space itself can be a big stigma, and along with that, there can be misunderstanding, which is because of the misconceptions which people would have had in the prior experiences, and it also can be the cultural pressures which one would have experienced in their childhood, and for which they would not want to prefer expressing anything to a stranger, and then also media, which is sometimes projecting it as negative.
Okay, ma'am, when you say about misunderstanding, what exactly is mean? It's because of awareness, or it is lack of awareness, or lack of health education when it comes to mental health. What do
Yeah,
you say?
it's altogether it is everything in the same box. And we always say that misunderstanding happens because definitely lack of awareness, lack of education. People do not study mental health for the longest period of time, and this is not even a subject anywhere until up. We come to our own self, going and checking in the net and finding out about the mental health, the basics of mental health, and trying to reframe ourselves and all that. Otherwise, you don't find in all our education, throughout our education, anything which has to do with mental. Actually, the workspace, the issues which I was mentioning, which could be one of the misconceptions, is that the workspace itself would not be aware that there is a requirement for mental health in the place of work.
Hmm.
And two, there is a lack of interest in the higher ups to
Hmm.
bring this as a integral part, because they feel that mental health can be ruled out, or
Hmm.
that can be very personal,
Got it.
and people would take it on their own.
Question is like
Yeah.
silent causes a deeper issue when it comes to mental health.
Yes. Yes, it does. It is a very, very large an issue. Silence. Why does a person become silent? That's the most important thing, because when we are thinking about a risk, when we are thinking about some intimidated kind of um, behaviors from the higher up, or behavior from the colleague, we would want to go and voice it out. And when that is shushed up, or when that is ignored, or when it is criticized, maybe even criticized in public. Then the silent zone happens. People do not want to speak about it at all.
Do you think still it is not normalized when it comes to mental health, especially in working area?
Yes, yes, because I see that in when it comes to the illness in the body, we rush to the doctor immediately,
Mhm.
and when it comes to something with mind, we are not even aware that it is something to do with mind. First of all, the awareness is absolutely absent. And when the awareness happens because you've gone to a general physician and he's saying it's not nothing to do with your body, it's something to do with your mind, even then, people do not want to directly come to a psychotherapist first. They would go to a psychiatrist who would be pilling them and drugging them. So, which again would create a lot of complications in their body.
Ma'am, let's talk about the real world impact of stigma.
Okay.
How does it affect things like collaboration, creativity, and employee retention?
Okay. See, collaboration it affects very big. For example, as the World Health Organization says, 1 trillion is the kind of productivity down if there is no teamwork, and if
Mhm.
the because of the teamwork less productivity, or teamwork dysfunctional productivity, or teamwork inappropriate kind of productivity. So this is the kind of biggest loss which happens down the globe. But if you're coming to individual kind of countries where, the countries like India or various countries in Asia, which are all slightly higher populated, we can see that the work pressure is pretty high because the whole time, from the grassroots level, that is in of an internship person who comes in as an intern who is wanting to work under a person who is an employee already there in the firm, would always be put into a lot of pressure by the system itself, because they show them that this is how it is going to be another 50, 60 years for you. So
Got it.
the person who is just a very young child, who is like about say 24, would never want to work, but then he is forced to because of various reasons of his financial circumstances, or even maybe that he wants to run a family. So this is the whole thing. I always feel this is what is very important, that where we are going to create an awareness and remove the stigma so that people come and approach.
Ma'am, I just want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah,
When people are going through a mental health issue, they don't like collaborate with their or mingle with their colleagues.
yeah,
Okay, they don't
yeah,
sit with them.
yeah,
Okay, before they used to coffee or lunch
yeah,
or dinner.
yeah,
Now they're not going with them
yeah.
or not sitting or not having any sort of conversation.
Correct,
Okay, with
correct.
them. Is uh, consider the problem major is like consider I'm facing some issues with my work, some marketing or sales or some problem with the coding or anything. I'll come and discuss with my employees. This is the problem which I'm facing, because I know that I might get any solution for that problem. My like colleague might can help me in solving. But when it comes to mental health,
I
I'm
do
not
not.
sure
Yeah,
that I can discuss with my colleague, and if I discuss
absolutely.
also whether I get any like support. So this is the
Yes,
problem.
yes, Mustafa. I'll just come to you in detail about this. See, what happens here is when I come to my higher ups, or my colleagues, or even people who are even my juniors, I can talk to anybody. For that matter, any little personal thing which is really working very high on my mind, which is also not allowing me to be focused. I definitely discuss it with the initial people who are around me. When I find that there is a lot of gossip going on because of that, and there is a lot of people who are opinionated about it, they're judging me about it. So what happens here is that I totally get singled out. I'm totally left alone. Because of which is also that I do not want to discuss it further. Because if I take it to higher up, they are not wanting to understand it. If I'm going to HR, there is no kind of empathy left there. So most of it, because we have made a work culture which is so demanding, so stressful, so much of work demand oriented, so that people do not have any. kind of freedom to go and express themselves because they know they are going to be turned down.
Got it. Got it. Uh, I just uh, I just want to add one more thing
Yeah,
over here.
yeah,
When we are doing a survey on mental health, I met an employee. I
yeah,
don't want to tell his name or the company where exactly he's working on.
absolutely.
So when I was having a discussion with that employee, he said, I faked my physical illness multiple times because I couldn't say I was going through depression. I was scared HR wouldn't understand. I was totally zoned out when he said he fake this physical illness because today, see, when we are having, as you said, when we are having any issues with the physical illness, we directly tell
Yeah,
boss we can't come, this is a problem which we are facing.
yeah.
But today if we tell our boss or HR or anyone, I'm going through some depression or some mental health issues, there is nobody to understand.
Yes. Even back home, when you're at home, there is no one who understands this, nor even in the workplace, people would understand this. Mainly because awareness is very, very less. The cultural effect also comes here, where people do not believe that mental health even exists. There is something to do with mind as such, and that also has to be corrected, or that also has to be kept very, fresh and nice. This doesn't happen at all. A lot of times, what I see is in workplaces there is huge pressure coming from all ends, and of course, when I'm not reaching my target, when I'm not doing really well, when my performance are really going low, I do get into a place where I'm not feeling very satisfied about my own integrity, and that is when my questioning happens, and I feel lower and lower, and I might get into a depression. But when I'm going there and expressing this, people do not even consider that as a very major issue. So obviously, how will I have a mind to say that I have an issue? Instead, I would fake saying that I have a fever or I have something to do with physical things and take a leave instead of taking some mental health.
Then who will understand us when family is not understanding, when at office nobody is understanding, then who is going to understand?
Mental health organizations definitely understand. The taboo has to be removed. We have to go. We have to voice this out in various organizations. A platform very, very concrete and very, very integral part of every organization or every company, mainly because mental health is I'm underlining it 100 times, the most important thing today, because the kind of lifestyle we are leading is really just the opposite of what the mental health is required.
What? Can we talk about how important is the leadership in creating mentally safe workplace?
Okay. Leadership is very, very, the role of the managers and the role of the HR is very demotivating or very motivating. So if at all you are making it a very motivating atmosphere, and you are always encouraging your employees, always you are trying to keep them in an upbeat kind of a mood, definitely the performances, definitely the production, everything increases in multifold. Mainly because the role of a leader is always to take everyone together, and a lower role of a boss is always to take only himself up. So, dictator kind of an atmosphere is always very harmful, and somewhere where you are wanting to give a leadership, where you are wanting every employee to feel equal, is very, very necessary. So what is it that is required for a manager or for a HR to become that leader? It is the training program. It is the person who needs to get trained through the experts who are already dealing with mental health in the largest period of time. So those are the kind of people who can come and guide, train, and also put a lot of activity into the workforce so that they release their stress. There is an expression. For example, I always do a gratitude, circle every week. Every week people are feeling grateful about their achievements, and they contributed to one or the other person, saying that because of my higher, officer, I became so much more efficient, and that's why I got this achievement. So every time I do this, the other person also is feeling very good about themselves, and they will be more helpful to me whenever I'm requiring help. Then there is also a requirement of the understanding of equality.
Ma'am, when you said
Yeah,
they have to, the training has to given to the managers,
yeah,
HRs, and create this promote mental health days and all. I
yeah,
have one question for you.
yeah,
Do you know there are so many founders was saying work more than 90 hours, 70 hours.
yes,
Okay, and even you said for the interns itself, we are giving so much work pressure.
yes.
And do you think that companies will dedicate some time on the training for the mental health? They are majorly focusing on soft skill training, majorly focusing on some other training which is very
Absolutely,
job oriented, not mental
absolutely,
health. What do you think on this?
absolutely. I'm really seeing a void of people not considering mental health as a priority at all. But I definitely want to voice this through your podcast that people should take this seriously. People should take mental health very seriously, otherwise, it is going to become a disastrous kind of a scenario. So, what is it that they got to do? We will also say that there are certain things which regular activities of having mindfulness like yoga, it could be meditation. All these three things can happen just for about 5 minutes, 7 minutes, so that the person is a little kind of a scenario. So, what is it that they got to do? We will also say that there are certain things which regular activities of having mindfulness like yoga, it could be meditation. All these three things can happen just for about 5 minutes, 7 minutes, so that the person is a little relaxed. A person, and if you are identifying certain people who are less productive, definitely go sit with them, understand why and what is happening through them.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
let's get practical.
yeah.
What can companies do to actively reduce? How the companies can reduce the stigma? Let's be practical.
For reducing stigma, there is only one thing, that is being open, being empathetic, being understanding when a person comes to you with a problem, not by judging them, not by opinionating them, not by assuming that he might be lying or he might be faking, but believing in whatever he's saying or she's saying, so that that person will have the confidence or the courage to come and express every time they are in some kind of a problem. And this is one of the most important way of resolving it. There are multiple other things also, which I think we will come in the next.
So you are saying
Yeah.
open the conversation,
Yes.
communication,
Open communication.
open
Yeah.
communication. Do you know there is open? Do you know
Yeah.
about open mic?
Yeah.
Where we no judgment, only singing, dancing, and other jamming things. But why we not talk on this openly on the mental health? Ma'am, still stigma is there. See, we are shooting this video. We are talking on this podcast. I still want to understand how we can break this and make this normalized where people can openly have the discussion anywhere. So tomorrow, if I want to ask my HR, I can't come for next 2 days. The reason behind is like I'm going through some mental health. I'm going through some depression. I'm suffering from some issues.
Yeah.
I can openly tell that. So in that extent, we have to come up for the normalization.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell on anything on that? How I can normalize that? How this corporate can, when they can understand this is normal.
It it I think will take some time. It will take some time. It is happening. I'm not saying it is not there, non-existent. It is there in many places, but in a larger scale, it is not happening. But in personal level, for example, because of media and the exposures which we are getting through podcast and also other social medias where actors and also movies have been uh, have been filmed on these particular issues, not exactly workspace, but many other issues. People are vocal about it of late in their personal level. But again, when it comes to workplace, it becomes very judgmental because if at all I'm saying it to a colleague, I don't even know how safe it is going to be. Is it going to be maintained confidential, or it is going to spread everywhere? So because of these kind of taboos which I have in my mind.
For that only, I have a question. It's
Yeah,
like, what
yeah.
can employers feel safe and supported?
More than an employee, I think it should be the employers who have to make an atmosphere which is much congenial for them. Mainly because as an employee, I do not have a power. I would just want to be easing myself out by telling the problems which I have, and that could also come in many ways. If at all an employer arranges certain things, as I said, a gratitude, a circle, a weekly gratitude circle, or they can have what do you call a anonymous box in which people can write about anything and do not get judged. A place where they can leave a lot of written stuff about what they are going through, which can be resolved by the employers in a longer run.
So you want to, what you are saying is like,
Yeah,
we need to keep an anonymous box
yeah,
where employees will keep writing and putting, and
putting it. Yes.
someday they will read, and
So
other.
regularly it has to be read.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So consider we are writing in the box and
Hmm.
nothing inside the box, and then it will be openly shared with everyone.
Exactly. This is
And
exactly the fear which people will
okay,
have.
then
Yeah.
it will no name written, nothing, and then everyone will be answering like how you can tackle this if they got any of the tips, like I'm going through depression, I'm going through some relationship issue, I'm going through some other exam issues. So on that phase, if they read and all the people taking from the tip from that box and giving the solution, then the taboo might be normalized. Is it?
Um, for which, see, if I'm getting a lopsided kind of issues which have been flashed in those box, in the writings of the box, and then many of the letters are about depression, many of the letters are about stress, many of it on anxiety. I then have to make some arrangements like having art therapy, just have a small space where people can just do a bit of art and get their stress relief. It could be break rooms where there are a lot of plants and animals kept. The therapy animals which are going to heal them, make them feel comfortable. Just sitting with those therapy animals itself, you can get a lot of solace. And also dance therapy, dance in the sense not because of jiving or jumping around and all that. It is a silent simple dance by closing eyes with a light music, with a
Mhm.
small space of area where you're just doing movements so that you're releasing all the negative energy or the all the stressful energies of yours and making the mindlessness. I don't even call mindfulness, I call it mindlessness. So that could really help. A music therapy would help by yoga nidra, or a place where a person is made to completely relax from head to the bottom. And then it could also be aromatherapy, where the whole office has some kind of an aroma which is keeping them pleasant.
Got
And also the color therapy, which is very much in vogue today.
it. Mhm.
And my sister is an expert now. She's getting into an expertise of color therapy. So this all these things, color therapy also works like wonder
Mhm.
in resolving mental health issues.
It's
Yeah,
like, it's kind of a rapid fire question for you,
yeah, please.
and it is like mic busting questions. Okay,
Yeah,
mic busting round. It's like mental health is personal, not professional.
it is absolutely both. It should be personal and also professional.
Only people with serious disorder need help.
No, anybody who has issues should immediately be heard.
Even a small issue.
Smallest of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mental health.
No, 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 no. It's very serious. It's very serious. It has to be dealt with a lot of empathy.
Okay, fine. Before we wrap up,
Yeah.
what's the one message you want to leave to our listeners?
My takeaway here for all of you listeners would be that takeaway today, which I want to give here, is that in the various industries which have taken mental health seriously and want to adapt it very well, should really deliver a very safe and comfortable atmosphere and environment for the people who work there, so that the people, their productivity, their creativity, and also their collaboration becomes really perfect. and due to which the name of the company becomes a lot bigger, like Google. Google is doing a lot of effort to see that the mental health issues are really addressed there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. To all our listener, if this episode resonated with you, share it with your team, your HR, or even your boss. Let's keep talking. Let's keep normalizing.